Hey guys, it's Cassian. Today I'm introducing a new segment that I'm calling Real Reviews, and I'm going to be reviewing a video game that I just played recently, which is called The Last of Us. Let me just say from here, this is a very good game and I highly recommend it, and there will be no spoilers in this review.
You mumble in your sleep. I hate bad dreams.
Yeah, me too.
So The Last of Us takes place in a post-apocalyptic world after an outbreak of a fungus that turns people into zombies. You follow this guy named Joel and this girl named Ellie, and they're trying to basically cross the country to find a cure for the disease. Honestly, the story in this game is like the main reason you should play it. The whole thing basically plays out like a movie, and not like a big dumb zombie action movie. Instead, it's like a thoughtful, character-driven drama. It makes you think about the choices the characters make and their consequences in a really mature way. It's not meant for mindlessly mashing buttons on your controller or chewing on popcorn. Over the course of the game, the bond between Joel and Ellie really grows and evolves in a lot of ways, but it never feels forced or overly dramatic or stupid. A large part of why the characters work is thanks to their voice actors, who both do an amazing job to bring their roles to life. By the end of the game, I felt like the characters were real people that I had been on a big journey with, and I really cared about what happened to them. The side characters in this game were super well written as well. Even if they only show up for a few scenes, none of them feel pointless. They all feel like they matter to the overall story and to the emotional journey of the protagonists. Now, the game also has a lot of super emotional moments in it. I didn't cry. We don't do that here. This right here, this is a no tear zone, but you wimps definitely will. Now, this all doesn't mean that the game isn't fun, because it definitely is. There's a lot of lighthearted moments thrown in there and big action sequences that keep you engaged and stop the whole thing from becoming depressing. Can't stop the tears though. Wait, what?
All right, come on down.
Even though the game plays out like a movie in a lot of ways, there's a reason that it's one instead of the other. Certain sections, like the opening, feel a lot more impactful because you're actually controlling the characters instead of just watching the action play out on screen. I also never felt like rushing through the game just to see the next cutscene. Partly because the gameplay is actually pretty fun, and partly because a lot of the best scenes happen when you're actually playing. So for example, you'll be walking around a town with Ellie, you're talking and you're interacting with the world around you, and it's way better than just watching the same thing play out. The combat and the stealth in this game, which is to say most of the gameplay, is pretty fun, but it's not on the same level as a lot of other parts of the game, like the story and the characters. The Last of Us has often been criticized for having a really good story, but only pretty good gameplay. I think that's a pretty fair assessment. Fighting other people and zombies head-on was pretty fun at first, but for some reason it just wasn't quite as much fun as it is in some other games I've played, like Call of Duty. Luckily, sneaking around and silently taking dudes out is a lot more fun than the alternative. Small details like the humming noise that gets louder and louder when you're about to be spotted make sneaking around super tense, which just makes it more fun. The sneaking sections with zombies in them are probably some of the best parts of the gameplay. There are certain types of zombies that can't see that rely on echolocation to find you. That means that you'll have to move slowly and be extra quiet. What makes it even more stressful is that if they get too close, they instantly kill you, so you have to be super careful not to be spotted. These parts of the game are not for the faint of heart, so bring your spare tighty-whities. Even though the combat and stealth is pretty fun, there's one part of the gameplay that just doesn't work at all. This part of the game is so terrible, so indescribably annoying, so awful in every single way, that I feel like it's my duty to mention it in this review. The puzzles, if you can even call them that. The puzzles in The Last of Us all involve doing something stupidly simple yet highly repetitive, like picking up a plank to cross a gap, or grabbing a ladder to get to a higher area, or grabbing a piece of wood to float across some water, since Ellie is always like, I can't swim. The worst part is that these puzzles take forever. You have to walk around, find the item you need, carry it back super slowly, put it down, and finally climb up or across it. The puzzles feel like they're just there to make the game longer, which now that I'm saying it is probably true. So basically, every time I saw a ladder or a dumpster, I was like,
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
Luckily, the rest of the game is so good that it's pretty easy to look past the mild inconvenience of having to grab a pallet for Ellie every time you come across a body of water that's more than 3 inches deep.
Oh, baby girl. It's okay. It's okay.
Joel.
It's okay.
For most games, the score really isn't a huge part of the experience, but I feel like this game is definitely an exception. Just like in a movie, a large part of the emotion in the story comes from the music, and I feel like it wouldn't be quite as impactful without it. The score was composed by Gustavo Santaolalla, who has won multiple Academy Awards and is also from Argentina, which is pretty sick because my family is too.
Are you kidding? Told you.
Now this wouldn't be a complete review of The Last of Us if I didn't talk about Left Behind, the DLC for the game. For those of you guys who don't know, DLC stands for downloadable content, and it's basically an add-on that comes out later and adds a new section or new elements to the game. In this case, the DLC takes the form of a short story that follows Ellie and her friend Riley before the events of the first game. The story, characters, and gameplay are all on par with everything that was in the first game, and it's really cool to learn more about Ellie and what happened to her before the first game. I would definitely recommend playing Left Behind after you finish the main game, especially because it's included in a lot of editions of the game for free.
Got him.
Finally, I'm going to talk about the multiplayer mode, which is called Factions. Unlike Battlefield or Call of Duty, the multiplayer is more of a side mode than the main attraction, but it's still really fun. You get to fight other people online and use all the skills you learned while playing the main game, since the controls and strategies are basically the same. Even though single player games are more my speed, it's clear that just as much passion and dedication was put into the multiplayer as it was into the main story. Unfortunately, I absolutely suck at this mode. I got my butt handed to me every single round that I played, which was pretty entertaining.
Oh! Oh! Oh my god, how are they not dead? Okay, oh, this is not. Let's get down from here. Oh! Oh, what the heck? Where'd he come from? Oh my god, they're flanking us. Oh my god, you're kidding me. Whoa! That was my bad. That was pretty terrible.
Man.
What?
Nothing, it's just... I've never seen anything like this, that's all.
You mean the woods?
Yeah. Never walked through the woods. It's kinda cool.
Though it certainly has its flaws, The Last of Us is hands down one of the best games I've ever played. The story and characters are absolutely incredible, miles beyond almost every other video game I've ever played. The gameplay is still fun, despite not being groundbreaking, and the DLC and multiplayer are also extremely well crafted, so both make great additions to the base game. I give The Last of Us a real review score of 10 out of 10, the peak of really awesome. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. My plan right now is to come out with more reviews soon, so right now I'm actually playing through The Last of Us Part 2, which just came out. Stay tuned for my thoughts on the sequel. Thanks guys.